evening of Christmas Eve in Lagos was defined by the relentless dusty breath of the harmattan. The heat was thick and dry, an oppressive blanket that clung to Amaka's skin, making breathing difficult. She hugged her threadbare coat tighter, shifting her weight outside the service entrance of Café Elegance. She had been waiting for Chidi for 32 minutes. The roar of the city's traffic, a chaotic symphony of horns and engine noise, felt like a physical weight pressing on her chest. Amaka pulled out her phone, 7:32 p.m. Still no message. Her 10-hour waitressing shift had ended an hour and a half ago. She had meticulously planned this evening with Chidi, a singular special night, a psychological dividend for months of grueling work, balancing the cafe job with her night classes in international business. She noticed an older man hunched against the rough red brick wall a few yards away. He was utterly still, wearing layers of thick, faded clothes and a knitted cap pulled low, obscuring his face. He looked profoundly tired, a man weathered by hardship. Amaka felt an immediate strong pull of sympathy. It seemed wrong for anyone to be so alone on a night meant for connection. She found a half-eaten candy cane in her pocket and walked slowly over to him. "Merry Christmas Eve," she said, her voice unexpectedly tender, offering the striped treat. The man raised his head. His eyes, though weary, were kind but distant. He accepted the cane with a slight nod. "And to you, my daughter, may the morning bring you peace." Amaka hesitated, rubbing her arms. "It's so dry out here. Are you waiting for someone?" He let out a dry, rustling chuckle. "I am waiting for the night to end, which in my experience is often the same as waiting for no one at all." "I know the feeling exactly," Amaka confessed, glancing at the busy street. "I hope your family is keeping cool tonight." His gaze sharpened slightly. "Do you have family?" Amaka forced a small, sad smile. "Not really, not here in Lagos. Tonight it was supposed to be just me and Chidi. We had a dinner reservation." A crushing wave of loneliness washed over her. "If that doesn't work out, I'll be spending Christmas morning alone, just like you." He gave a measured nod, his eyes holding a deep, non-judgmental understanding. Just then, a sleek black Mercedes E-Class pulled up sharply beside the curb. Chidi stepped out, immediately running a hand through his expensive-looking hair. He strode toward her, his tailored suit crisp, his face set in an expression of hurried, calculated annoyance. "Amaka, let's make this quick," he ordered. His tone was a cold, brutal punch. She instinctively stepped away from the wall, her hands clenching into fists. "What is it?" she demanded, fighting the growing tremor in her voice. "The dinner is entirely off," Chidi stated, his voice flat and devoid of apology. He adjusted the expensive watch on his wrist. "I told you, I have an unavoidable obligation. An absolutely critical board meeting came up at the last minute. They are closing the deal tonight, and I need to be present for the signatures." Amaka felt the hot, overwhelming flush of public humiliation. "An obligation? Chidi, we booked this 3 weeks ago. It's Christmas Eve. You promised this was our time," he scoffed, adjusting his collar. "Grow up, Amaka. This is business, real business. My time is quantifiable. It is valuable. It's not like your little cafe job where you can just clock out when you feel like it." The words hung in the oppressive air, sharp and deliberately cruel. The man by the wall watched them, silent and unmoving. Chidi threw a dismissive, contemptuous glance at the figure, then turned his gaze back to Amaka, sealing his abandonment. "I'll call you later when I'm free. Don't wait up." He slid back into the waiting car. The Mercedes pulled away instantly, leaving Amaka alone with the acrid scent of exhaust fumes. She stood paralyzed, her special night ruined, her effort dismissed as utterly worthless in the face of his ambition. She felt the heavy, suffocating weight of her loneliness return. She wanted to retreat to her small apartment and cry, but then she remembered the hours she had spent preparing, the money she had saved, and the elegant black dress she was wearing. A fierce, sudden resolve hardened her jaw. She would not let him steal her dignity and her evening. Amaka walked back toward Jide. He was still sitting there, seemingly unaffected. She felt a sudden, reckless surge of defiance. "He left," she stated simply, opening her coat slightly. "I saw," the man replied, his voice a low, steady rumble. Amaka stood over him. "I made a considerable effort tonight." I have a confirmed reservation at the Golden Crest, a place I definitely can't normally afford, but I saved for it religiously. She drew a deep, shaky breath. I am absolutely not going to spend Christmas Eve eating cheap takeout and hating myself for being a fool. She lowered her voice, forcing herself to look him directly in the eye. So here is my offer. I invited someone to dinner tonight because I didn't want to be alone. Now I'm inviting you. We can both pretend we have somewhere important to be, at least for a few hours. The man remained still for a long moment, searching her face for sincerity. Then he stood up slowly. He was taller than she had realized, and surprisingly solid. My name is Jideofor, he said, but you can call me Jide. And that is, without question, the kindest and most reckless offer I have received in a very long time. I accept, Amaka. The restaurant is strictly classy. I dressed up for this. Jide, you can't go like that. She stepped back to her canvas bag. When I thought I was meeting Chidi, I bought him a gift, a very nice suit. I saved for 2 months for it. She pulled the sealed garment bag out. I can't return it now, and I refuse to look at it anymore. I'm giving it to you. You can wear it tonight, and you can keep it. Jide stared at the garment bag, understanding the sacrificial nature of the gesture. Amaka, I can't accept something that valuable, he genuinely protested. Yes, you can, Amaka insisted, her tone resolute. I want to see it worn well tonight, by someone who is grateful for the chance. If you don't take it, I'll simply go home and cry. And I don't want to cry on Christmas Eve. He took the bag gently. I understand the condition. Thank you, Amaka, truly. As Jide walked into the shadowed alleyway to change, Dapo, his chief associate and head of security, rushed over from a nearby sedan. Mr. Olamide, Dapo hissed quietly. This has gone too far. This beggar act is dangerous, and it's unfair to her. You need to tell her the absolute truth now. Jide zipped the garment bag open, the dark, rich fabric gleaming faintly. It's just dinner, Dapo. I need this reprieve. I am not lying to her. I am simply omitting an irrelevant detail for a few hours. I will make it right. He emerged a moment later, utterly transformed. The charcoal suit fit him with startling perfection, tailored to his broad shoulders. Amaka gasped, the transformation so complete it felt cinematic. We'll take a local taxi, she managed to say. The taxi ride downtown was quiet, charged with anticipation. They arrived at the Golden Crest, an imposing old stone building. The heavy oak door was opened by a smartly dressed host. Reservation for 2 under Chidi, Amaka stated, the name leaving a bitter taste. The host nodded, but his eyes immediately flickered past Amaka to Jide. His professional smile froze, replaced by an expression of startled reverence and recognition. Mr. Olamide, the host whispered, his posture snapping rigidly to attention. He lowered his voice, almost panicking. We were absolutely not expecting you this evening, sir. Welcome back. Amaka blinked, thoroughly confused. She looked at Jide, who was already shaking his head subtly and urgently at the host. There must be a mistake, Amaka started. His name is Jideofor. No mistake, ma'am, the host insisted, trying to play along, looking terrified of angering Jide. We simply recognize his stature. Please, follow me. We have a private corner ready immediately. As they moved through the room, the entire staff seemed to register their presence. Amaka overheard one waiter whisper, That's Mr. Jideofor Olamide, the owner of the entire Olamide Group and our largest shareholder. Jide stopped walking, his hand gently taking the host by the elbow. You will seat us at the table she originally reserved, he instructed, his voice low, firm and serious. And you will forget that name. Tonight I am simply Jide, a friend of this woman, understood? Absolutely no special treatment. The host swallowed hard. Understood, sir. Absolutely, Mr. Jide, right away. They were led to the small, intimate table Amaka had reserved. A waiter named Bode appeared instantly. Bode looked at Jide, and his eyes widened in profound recognition. Mr. Olamide, sir, it is a genuine honor. How may I serve you tonight? Shall I bring the usual vintage from the owner's cellar? Jide sighed internally. Bode, my old friend, he said smoothly, I am here with Amaka. She is seeing me simply as Jide, a man she met quite randomly on the street. Can you oblige an old friend and play along? I would like this night to be just dinner. Bode instantly reverted to the efficient waiter persona. Of course, sir. I deeply apologize. What fine wines are we considering tonight, Jide? Amaka was bewildered but charmed by the quiet, absolute authority Jide exuded. She decided to let the mystery unfold. The secrecy felt infinitely more pleasant than Chidi's cruel, shallow company. The bizarre atmosphere dissipated as the conversation flowed. Jide asked about her international business degree, balancing classes with her grueling shifts. It's agonizingly slow, she admitted. It feels like I'm running a marathon, but only moving half an inch at a time. But you are moving, Amaka, Jide pointed out. That sustained effort, that is the difference. You took the first hardest step. He told her vague, restless stories of his own recent past, of how profoundly disconnected he had felt in a world of privilege, and his need to feel something real. He kept his stories deliberately ambiguous, yet the deep sincerity in his voice was palpable. When you were talking to Chidi earlier, Jide said, I saw how much that casual disrespect hurt you. You were offering a piece of yourself, and he treated it like a minor inconvenience. Amaka felt the sting of Chidi's words, now soothed by Jide's empathy. I hate feeling disposable, like my time doesn't matter to him, because I don't have his status. Your feelings matter, Jide said definitively. He raised his glass to her, to sustained effort and to the rare people who recognize and respect that effort. They clinked glasses. Amaka let out a genuine, unburdened laugh. Jide watched her, a slow, deep, genuine smile spreading across his face. He felt a sharp, unexpected twist of emotion in his chest. The exquisite food arrived. They ate in comfortable silence, savoring the companionship. Then the heavy oak door opened with a sharp, unwelcome chime. Amaka looked up and froze. Chidi stood in the entrance, laughing heartily, his arm draped possessively around the shoulder of Tommy, a high-profile client partner at his consulting firm. The critical board meeting was a lie. Chidi scanned the room, his eyes landing on Amaka. His face instantly drained of all color. Tommy, sensing Chidi's panic, followed his rigid gaze. She recognized Amaka, and the entire puzzle clicked into place. Chidi quickly plastered on a smooth smile as he steered Tommy directly toward their table. Amaka! What an unexpected surprise, enjoying a very late dinner with a friend. Tommy yanked her arm violently out of Chidi's grasp. Her eyes, dark with rage, jumped between Chidi and Amaka. Who the hell is she, Chidi? Tommy demanded, her voice cutting sharply through the soft dining music. You explicitly said you were breaking up with the waitress weeks ago. And who is he? Chidi, misunderstanding. Amaka, just go home now. Amaka stood up slowly, her chair scraping loudly. She looked Chidi directly in the eye, seeing him for the small, manipulative creature he truly was. There's no misunderstanding, Tommy, Amaka said, her voice steady and chillingly clear. Chidi is a simple liar. He cancelled my dinner to be with you. He is treating both of us like interchangeable options. She turned to Chidi, letting all her stored hurt coalesce into a single, final refusal. I was already gone from your life, Chidi. I just didn't know it until I was sitting here, treated with respect, by an honest stranger. Tommy didn't wait for his excuse. She looked at Chidi with unadulterated disgust. You are disgusting and weak. I don't ever want to see your face or hear your name again. She stormed out of the restaurant. Amaka watched Tommy's exit, then faced Chidi one last time. The dinner reservation is ruined, but my Christmas Eve isn't. You are the problem, Chidi. Goodbye. She turned her back on him, the ultimate dismissal. Tried desperately to pull Tommy away. Don't to make a scene, Tommy. This is all a... Amaka sank back into her chair, shaking but profoundly exhilarated. The heavy chains of Chidi's disrespect had snapped. Jide reached immediately across the table and covered her hand with his own. His touch was warm, solid, and wonderfully steadying. You handled that with dignity and grace, Amaka. I'm truly proud of you. I'm shaking, she admitted, and I've completely lost my appetite. Jide squeezed her hand gently. Mine too. Let's go. He rose and signaled subtly to Bode. Just bring the bill for the wine and appetizers, please. We are leaving. Amaka opened her purse. I'll split it, Jide. No, Jide said firmly, pulling out a slim, dark leather wallet. Tonight was my invitation. You offered me dignity and companionship, and the meal is completely on me. As Bode ran the premium black card, Jide leaned close to the waiter. Bode, the remaining entrees we didn't touch. Box them up discreetly and send them to my address. The usual delivery service. Thank you, friend. Amaka heard the instruction clearly. Send them to my address. A street person does not have a usual delivery service. She knew Jide was profoundly important, and yet he was making a visible, genuine effort to hide it. They stepped outside and walked in comfortable silence for a few blocks. It was still a memorable night, Jide, Amaka finally said. It was better than memorable, Jide countered, his voice earnest. It was real, Amaka, the most real thing that happened to me this Christmas. As they rounded a corner, a street photographer with a vintage camera called out to them. Excuse me, you two. Stop right there. That light is perfect right now. You look wonderful together, truly. Amaka and Jide stopped. It's Christmas Eve, the photographer coaxed. I'm offering free portraits tonight. Come on, one quick shot, like you're a couple. Amaka felt a flush of shyness. Jide looked intrigued. Why not? Amaka shrugged. The photographer positioned them carefully. Closer, hold hands like you love each other. Jide, put your arm around her waist. Amaka look up at him and smile, a real genuine one. As Jide placed his hand lightly and securely on her waist, and as she leaned into his solid, warm side, something profound shifted. Her smile became easy, unguarded. She looked up at him, and his eyes, usually guarded, were soft, entirely focused on her, reflecting quiet awe. For the duration of the camera flash, the deception melted away. For that single frozen moment, captured permanently on film, they looked like people who belonged together. Amaka arrived back at her apartment, exhausted but fulfilled. She knew Jide was wealthy and the street story was a farce, but the way he defended her and the genuine kindness in his eyes had eclipsed the deception. Meanwhile, Jide paced through the affluent neighborhood, the expensive suit heavy with guilt. He used his top-of-the-line satellite phone to call Dapo. It's done, Dapo, Jide stated. The dinner? Did you enjoy your sociological experiment, Mr. Olamide? Dapo's tone was sharp. Stop, Dapo. It stopped being an experiment the moment Chidi showed up, and it absolutely stopped being a game when I saw her laugh. Jide sighed. I was never actually homeless. That is the hard truth, and I knew it was morally wrong. I was trying to find a corner of the world where people didn't look at me and see only the company, the status, the money. I was desperate to see a flash of genuine human goodness directed at me. And you found it, in the woman you lied to. Dapo finished flatly. The lie is a ticking bomb. If you disappear now, you validate Chidi's worldview. You prove that money is all you truly value. I know, Jide admitted, but when I tried to confess, the full weight of the words felt too large. I don't want her to think I was just testing her for sport. You were the daddy testing her, Dapo said, brutally flat. You simply didn't expect to fall into your own trap. Now, the lie has a consequence. You have to tell her the truth. Jide ended the call, paralyzed by the ethical nightmare. The next day, Boxing Day, Amaka walked toward the cafe. Jide, still wearing the charcoal suit, was waiting, holding a small, elegantly wrapped gift. Good morning, he said, his expression serious. Good morning, Mr. Olamide, Amaka replied, unable to suppress a slight tease, testing his reaction. He flinched. Please, Amaka, just Jide. He offered her the gift. This is a proper gift for your extraordinary kindness and for the use of your suit. She accepted the neatly wrapped box. Before she could open it, a cheap rented sedan screeched to a halt. Chidi, looking rumpled and desperate, rushed toward her. Amaka, wait. I made a huge mistake. Tommy is insane. I broke it off. I'm free tonight. We can go anywhere. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Amaka stood tall between the two men. She looked at Chidi with final, utter indifference. There is nothing to make up, Chidi. You showed me exactly who you are. We are done. Chidi immediately turned his scornful gaze on Jide. And who is this, your new charity case? Did you finally find a guy as low as your ambition? Amaka stepped squarely in front of Jide. You want to talk about ambition, Chidi? I am working on my international business degree, pulling double shifts to pay for it. You know, She looked at Jide, making sure her next words hit the right target. Having money doesn't automatically make you a good person, and often rich people think they can just buy back respect when they lose it. Jide's face went pale. Her words, aimed at Chidi, felt like a direct accusation at his own failure. He had his confession ready. Amaka, he began, his voice strained. He saw the flicker of hope and fragile trust in her eyes and panicked. He couldn't crush it with the full truth right there. He swallowed hard and forced a nervous laugh, pivoting quickly. I agree. A very important lesson, Amaka. He looked at the napkin in his hand. I just wanted to see if you would give me your number before you disappear into work. Amaka smiled faintly. I'm already late for work, Jide. She scribbled her number on the napkin. If you want to talk about important lessons, call me later. We'll start there. Jide watched Amaka walk into the cafe, his hand closed around the crumpled napkin. He knew he had to tell her the full truth immediately, but the deeper his feelings became, the harder it was to risk the inevitable rejection. Amaka, meanwhile, opened Jide's gift, a beautiful, supple, leather-bound portfolio. It was a professional, powerful encouragement of her ambition. It gave her the final push she needed. After her shift, she walked to the financial district, clutching her CV. She had secured a tentative low-level appointment at the region's largest import-export holding company, determined to put her ambition face-to-face with a decision-maker. She stepped into the modern, towering glass and steel lobby of the building. The company's name was etched in massive silver above the reception desk, Olamide Group. Amaka initially dismissed the surname as a coincidence. She approached the front desk for her appointment. As the receptionist checked the schedule, Amaka glanced around the pristine lobby. That's when she saw him. Jide. He was wearing plain grey slacks and a company polo shirt with a small Olamide logo. He was pushing a large, rattling rolling cart laden with industrial cleaning supplies. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers, followed by a blinding flash of pure panic. Amaka's surprise melted into confusion. He was here, working as a cleaner? Jide immediately averted his gaze, grabbed a spray bottle, and furiously began polishing a section of the steel wall that was already spotless. He hunched his shoulders, trying to shrink behind the cart. Amaka walked toward him. Jide, what in the world are you doing here? He didn't look up, muttering into his chest. Ma'am, oh sorry, I just work here. Busy day, lots of cleaning to do. Amaka frowned. Why the pretense now? Was he embarrassed that he had to take a job as a cleaner? The street had been a lie, the suit a lie, and now he was hiding behind the identity of a low-level maintenance worker. I'm here to apply for a job, she explained. I need to meet with the owner about international business and trade logistics. Jide stopped scrubbing, his shoulders tense. The owner is very busy, ma'am. You should really try HR. Good luck. His desperate behavior confirmed her unease. He was deliberately hiding behind yet another layer of false identity. She turned back to the receptionist. I need to meet the owner, Mr. Olamide, personally, she insisted. The receptionist looked uncomfortable, then slid a heavy engraved business card across the desk, whispering, He doesn't meet anyone unannounced, miss. But, if you're serious, this is his private residence address. Amaka picked up the card. The address was in the wealthiest enclave of the city. She glanced over at Jide, who was now halfway down the hall, pushing his cart furiously, attempting to vanish around a corner. The address on the card led Amaka to a sweeping, silent estate surrounded by high stone walls. The massive wooden door was eventually opened by a security guard, and Amaka was directed inside. She stood in a towering foyer. A woman in an elegant linen suit led her toward a set of double mahogany doors. Mr. Olamide, your guest is here. The doors opened and Amaka stepped inside the study. Her eyes went immediately to the man standing behind a massive executive desk. It was Jide. He was wearing an expensive silk robe, looking pale and dread-filled. He was the owner, the Olamide, the man who owned the entire corporation. The entire sequence of events flashed through Amaka's mind. The lie about homelessness, the theatrical need to hide his status, the panicked disguise with the cleaning cart. He had stolen her genuine affection to amuse himself for a privileged evening. You, Amaka whispered, the single word tasting like pure ash, laced with profound bitterness. Jide took a hesitant step toward her. Amaka, please. Let me explain. Explain what? She cut him off, her voice rising, fueled by a scorching betrayal. That the entire thing was a lie. You came to me pretending to be the victim of the world, and I, the actual person struggling, showed you kindness, and you accepted it all as if it were your absolute right. This was just a game for you, wasn't it? A rich man's sick experiment. Tears of blinding, uncontrollable fury welled in her eyes. You wanted to see people's hearts, so you subjected mine to a test. You stole my desperate compassion as a piece of data for your project, then vanished the moment the results got too complicated. No, Jide pleaded, shaking his head. It started that way, but I didn't know you were coming here. I panicked. The feelings, Amaka, the connection we had at dinner, that was the most real I've felt in years. I was coming to tell you the complete truth. I promise. Amaka stepped back rapidly toward the door. You lied about who you are. You pretended to be interested in honesty, and then you hid behind a cleaning cart instead of facing me and saying, I am the owner. You're no better than Chidi. You just have a far more elaborate set of tricks to manipulate women. This absolute monstrous lack of respect for my reality is unforgivable. Amaka turned and walked out, leaving the owner standing alone in the monumental wreckage of his own deception. Amaka walked blindly for blocks. The betrayal was so complete, it blocked out everything else. Jide was pacing his study, a genuine wreck. Dapo arrived, finding him slumped over his desk. She's completely right, Jide mumbled. I'm a coward. I found a genuine connection, and I destroyed it by being afraid of the consequences of my own stupid actions. She's right about the lie, Dapo corrected him. But she is profoundly wrong about the motivation. You weren't doing this for cruel sport, you were desperately lonely. Your motivation, the authentic need, was real. Dapo pushed him. Stop running. You want to make it right. You need to prove that the man who wore that charcoal suit is the authentic, real man. She won't talk to me. She called it unforgivable, Jide said. Then I will talk to her, Dapo declared. You clean yourself up. I'm going to catch her. Dapo found Amaka a few minutes later. Amaka, wait. My name is Dapo. I'm Jide's chief associate. I know absolutely everything. If you're here to defend his actions, don't bother, Amaka warned. I am not, Dapo said. What he did was a massive, humiliating and arrogant mistake. But he was lonely enough to sit on a dusty sidewalk on Christmas Eve just to feel human. He has been drowning in the Olamide Group legacy, terrified that anyone who gets close only sees a walking bank account. Dapo lowered his voice. The connection you shared was profoundly real for him. He tried to hide as a cleaner today because he was terrified that telling you the complete truth would make him lose you forever. Amaka listened, her anger slowly giving way to confusion. He owes me the truth, she said, her voice ragged, not another story. The full, unvarnished truth delivered to me directly. Dapo nodded, relieved. He is waiting to give it to you. Tell him where. Amaka straightened her posture. Tell him I'll meet him in an hour, in his office at the Olamide Group tower, and tell him this is the final non-negotiable condition, no more lies, not one omission. If he flinches, I walk out for good. Amaka arrived at the Olamide Group tower an hour later. Jide was waiting in his spacious corner office, looking formal and impeccable. He stood silently until the door closed securely. Thank you for coming, Amaka. Comfortable leather chairs. Amaka sat down. Start with the absolute truth. Why the street, and why the continuous escalating deception? Jide confessed everything, the story of his profound loneliness, his arrogance in conducting the experiment, and the moment her genuine kindness broke his resolve. I intended to end the test that night, he said. Then you came. You gave me the one thing I couldn't buy, respect and a shared experience. The decision to put on your suit and have dinner was the first truly spontaneous decision I had made in a decade. It was the moment I stopped testing the world and started truly feeling it. He leaned forward. I didn't plan to fall for you, Amaka, but seeing your light completely ruined my experiment. And I hid as a cleaner today because all I could think was that telling you the truth would make me lose you forever. I was terrified of going back to the gilded cage alone. Amaka was silent, processing the lie against the sincerity in his eyes. The lie was a monumental violation of trust. But I believe you. I believe the desperation and the feelings you developed were real. She met his gaze, compromising. If you want a chance, you have to choose to be honest. Completely. I will not accept a partial man. You have to be the honest man who also owns the company. The man who is accountable for his power and his actions. Do you understand my condition, Jide? I accept your wealth, but I demand the whole truth, always. Jide felt a wave of profound relief. He stood up. I understand completely, Amaka. Transparency and accountability are the price of our future. I accept. A few minutes later, the receptionist announced, Mr. Olamide, Mr. Chidi Salazar is here for his 11:00 pitch appointment. Chidi strode confidently into the office, carrying his portfolio. He stopped dead in his tracks, his face settling into a mask of total shock as he recognized Amaka and then Jide. You, Chidi sputtered, pointing a trembling finger at Jide. What are you doing here? Security. Jide remained perfectly calm, his arm resting lightly on the back of Amaka's chair. He looked at Chidi with cool, analytical judgment. Mr. Salazar, Jide said, his voice resonating with authority, we are well acquainted. You met me on Christmas Eve. I was the man you mocked and casually dismissed as being a few steps below your ambition. Chidi's jaw dropped. The realization hit him. The lesson, Chidi, Jide continued, is simple. How you treat the waitress, the cleaner, or the supposed beggar on the street matters. Because you never know who they are, or when you might desperately need them. More importantly, it demonstrates your true, worthless character. Jide picked up Chidi's portfolio. Your pitch is declined. Do not return to this building. Amaka here, whose time and feelings you considered worthless, now works directly with me. Jide turned back to Amaka, his expression instantly soft. Now that the unpleasant business is handled, I have a meeting with my CFO regarding the expansion into Ghanaian markets. I think you should come. Your international business degree is ready for its first real-world consultation. Amaka stood up, a genuine, joyful smile returning to her face. She walked to his side, letting him, he said, his voice quiet, sincere. He motioned to two, take her hand. They walked out of the corner office together, side by side, leaving the world of lies and pretense behind, stepping into a future built on truth and respect.